In sales, in business, I talk about this need to go and sell something. Well, the most important thing that you have to do for 40 hours a week then is drive activity, right? So I think in 2017, one of the biggest things that I'm trying to encourage the people on my team to do is take ownership and take action, right? These are really the essence of what it takes to become successful. And I think the biggest inhibitor for success, and a lot of what people ask me about all the time is, how do I create discipline in order to have greater success and greater results? And in reflection on this question, I think that I look back to when I was an early entrepreneur, and I kind of made this determination that nothing good happens after 9 p.m., right? In terms of my business, right? Now, great things happen after 9 p.m. I got to meet women, I got to party, I got to have great times with my friends and everything else, but none of those things actually made me more successful. None of those things made me closer to achieving the goals that I'd laid out for myself. And so what I had to do was I had to do two things. One is I had to avoid everything that happened after 9 p.m. And two is I needed to give myself discipline. But it's because by nature, I'm actually not a very disciplined person. I'm somebody who, goes with the flow, someone who loves to be, just to jump at opportunities as they present themselves, right? To be really impulsive and just go for it, right? So someone says, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, yes, let's do it. Not really somebody who, spent a lot of time sitting around like thinking or being really thoughtful. So, for myself, what I needed to do was create an environment for myself where discipline would be a byproduct of the model that I set for myself. And two was to try and eliminate all those distractions. And so the first thing I did was I figured out the best way to not be distracted after 9 p.m. was to fall asleep. Right? After 9 p.m., that's when I ate cheesesteaks. That's when I was loaded. That's where I spent a lot of money. But if I was asleep by 9 o'clock, none of those things would happen. So the easiest way to do that is wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So for every person out there that wants to be successful, and you talk about, oh, I'm a night owl, I'm a night person, I'm not a morning person, I don't like waking up early. What I will tell you is set your alarm every day for the next 3 weeks to wake you up at 4:30 a.m. and go to the gym, read, meditate, do whatever you're gonna do first thing in the morning, but I guarantee you by 9 p.m., you're gonna be asleep, right? You're gonna be asleep, and all of a sudden you will go from being a night person to a morning person, and you're gonna feel a whole lot more productive. If you think back in the course of your life to maybe a time like on a Saturday where you woke up really early and you had a list of chores you needed to accomplish, and by waking up early, you got them all done, and all of a sudden you look down and it's 9 o'clock and you have a whole day. I remember as a kid doing those types of things, or when I would go fishing with my father, and I remember waking up in the morning and feeling like, wow, I've got so much time on my hands just because I got at it early. And so, that's the first thing. Wake up early and you're gonna go to sleep at 9 o'clock and you'll eliminate a lot of those distractions. The second thing though is really about giving yourself a model for success, right? So calendar for me is everything. If you if you're somebody who is impulsive, somebody who's not naturally disciplined, the best thing to get you to become disciplined is a very rigid calendar. From the time we are probably 7 years old, maybe 5 years old, we start to move into this very rigid system, right, called education. And it's all monitored by bells, right? A bell goes off and you start class. A bell goes off and you move to that next class. A bell goes off and it's lunchtime. A bell goes off and it's playtime on the playground. A bell goes off and boom, you're back you're back in class. Another bell goes off and your day is over and you go to baseball practice or football practice or whatever it was in my life, right? And so we had this very organized kind of period of time. And then all of a sudden we hit college and boom, all rules are off. And a lot of people fail out of school because of it, because there is no structure. There's no really expectations. And it takes a while for you to achieve these things. That's why people struggle in their first year of law school. That's why people struggle in their first year in college. And it's certainly why entrepreneurs will disproportionately fail right out of the gate, right? Because they're still, in this kind of phase of trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? What's my priorities? And I'll tell you that as we start 2017, what you have to think about is what you want to achieve, right? If this year your goal is to make $1 million of revenue, what you need to do is your business has to generate $500 an hour for 40 hours a week. right? If you want to make $100,000 or $200,000 a year as a salesperson and somebody who is a commission-based salesperson, you want to make 200 grand a year, you need to make, right, a certain number of dollars per hour. You're gonna make $100 an hour every hour over the course of that 40-hour work week, and you'll make $200,000 a year. The problem is that a lot of times we spend our energy doing things that aren't commensurate with the type of income that we want to earn, right? So we spend our time doing administrative things, or we spend our time, handling small time issues when we're trying to make big time money or have big time goals that we have to achieve. And I'm not saying that you don't have to get those things done. I'm just saying that you need to spend 40 hours a week doing those income earning activities. The rest of that work is why you work 60 hours, 70 hours, 80 hours a week when you're brand new. Until you can afford to hire somebody to do the menial work, you've got to put in those extra hours. You're gonna be grinding, working, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 hours a week. And some people never stop, right? My friend Grant Cardone talks all the time about, how he works 95 hours a week, right? You don't work 9 to 5, you work 95. And I don't necessarily agree that you have to do that forever. I guess, that's his 10X lifestyle. That's what he believes is necessary. But I think as an entrepreneur, what you have to do is determine how you measure success and then build a model to work to that. In sales, in business, I talk about this need to go and sell something. Well, the most important thing that you have to do for 40 hours a week then is drive activity, right? You've got to prospect, you got to meet with clients. Those are the things that are going to drive revenue to your business. Talking about it, visualizing, brainstorming, all that stuff, you can do that in the margins. There are 40 hours a week where every business is engaged, right? And that's where you got to go out and you got to meet CEOs, CFOs. So if you boil it down and you've got to set 8 appointments or 10 appointments or 15 appointments a week with decision makers, with people that can say yes to you, that can do business with you, then you've got to have enough time in your calendar set aside for that specific activity that's going to drive those, those very important meetings. And everything else fills in between. A lot of times our default is to react to whatever comes in. And that makes you feel really busy, but that's not what makes you wealthy. That's not what helps you achieve your goals. Reaction, being reactive, is the opposite of what it's going to take to be successful. You need to be proactive. And the best way to do that is build out your rigid calendar and make sure that you account for the things that are going to put the kind of money into your business that are going to drive the revenue for this year. Put the pressure on the model, put the pressure on your calendar, take the pressure off yourself.